As Kill Tony's popularity has exploded over the last year, and Tony's personal celebrity has increased alongside it, the fan base is starting to exhibit early signs of a story arc we're all too familiar with. Newfound money and fame leads to a creator becoming detached from their audience and developing a superiority complex that gradually starts revealing itself to an ever-increasing portion of the public. This fosters a resentment that the viewers are at first able to tolerate and overlook. If the product is good enough, they could ignore any character flaws that don't massively interfere with their enjoyment of the program. But as the honeymoon phase wears off and the format no longer feels new and innovative, the show starts becoming predictable and watered down, and a genuinely random element, entirely non-existent from traditional media, becomes a manufactured, mostly inorganic aspect of production. Any goodwill the creator has built up through years of content slowly starts to erode, removing the veil that was previously shielding them from mass criticism. This begins with a very small subset of the most dedicated fans, who are initially downvoted and ignored, until their numbers grow to a point where the message board becomes split. Now the majority of posts are either complaining about the show, or people complaining about all the posts complaining about the show. This eventually spills over into the YouTube comment sections, and starts to take root in the more mainstream demographic. With the criticisms getting increasingly louder, and the show maintaining popularity through sheer momentum and hate watching, the creator is led to believe that this is just a dedicated, extremely vocal minority of haters that have no sway amongst the general public, giving them the confidence to lash out at the viewers and put on display just how much better they think they are than the people who pay their bills.
If you're still mad about this, just know that it's your mindset and you're thinking like a fucking loser, but you don't have to.
You don't.
You can change the way you think, but you have to accept the way you're thinking right now is not going to get you anywhere. You're being bitter, you're being petty, you're insecure, you're not confident, and you can change that, but you have to be proactive. If you just sit around and you know what? You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser if you're thinking like that. And so you're maybe, I'm lucky to have you as a loser fan, but
for the people that are negative or are on forums and create troll accounts, I view those people the same I'd view a homeless guy critiquing my art or critiquing my set or critiquing a podcast. They do not matter. It literally does not matter to me.
The incident then gets covered by the major podcast drama channels, and the creator is now faced with two options. Actually show some humility and acknowledge some of the criticism as valid, which is nearly impossible for these people, or stand their ground and let their pride lead them into an unwinnable war with the internet. Most of them choose the second option and begin their descent down the right side of the bell curve. Kill Tony at its best really embodies what makes comedy podcasting great. Legitimate improv, existing in direct opposition to the rigid structure and rehearsed corporate atmosphere of mainstream television, as well as a culture of freedom, which encourages people to search for comedy in uncomfortable and even straight up mean places.
What is your love life like? You seem completely unbearable.
Bro,
come on. Are we bros now?
No, we're not.
You and I just
Clearly
hold the old
not.
pals?
The chaos of random bucket pulls could never exist in any other medium, other than the shock jock radio of the 90s and 2000s, which modern comedy podcasting is heavily modeled after. Even if the jokes aren't unbelievably funny for an episode or two, the unpredictability keeps it more enjoyable to watch than most other shows with a similar level of production. But this is where a lot of Tony's more dedicated fans are starting to have a problem. It's widely accepted now that the bucket is rigged, with posts deriding this as a conspiracy getting ratioed into oblivion, and ones calling it out are receiving actual support. This was the complete opposite a few months ago, with accusations of a rigged bucket being mocked and heavily disliked, while posts making fun of the conspirators were receiving most of the traction. You fast forward to today, even the people in the comments defending Tony on this point admit to it being rigged, but justify it as a necessity to maintain the quality of the show. The same line of thinking that has forced us to watch entirely pre-rehearsed conversations on late-night TV for decades. Even that commenter admits the show has been lacking in variety, and Tony needs to do a better job of letting go of control. I think that rigging the bucket entirely defeats the purpose of regulars, and is one step along the way towards becoming exactly what they were replacing. Another one of the main gripes you'll see repeated by Kill Tony fans is that Tony has a perpetually inflating ego, and how this makes him hypersensitive to jokes from people he views as beneath him. Just like with our last example, even the people defending Tony acknowledge this glaring personality flaw, and admit they just have to accept it to get the content they want. Yes, but I've learned to accept it. Most everyone knows what they're signing up for at this point. Of course, Tony is sensitive and insecure from years of being bullied while growing up for having a long neck, long teeth, and the body of an alien. This is his chance to get revenge. Just let him have his moment. And there are plenty more posts where that came from. Why is Tony acting like such a coked up douchebag? Tony, what the f, man? Tony is absolutely insufferable this episode. His ego has gotten too big. It's called ego. His ego is huge now that the show is huge. He's forgotten his roots. Tony is his own worst enemy. Tony hypocrite. Does anyone else think Tony is unironically sensitive on the show and in general? KT is the show for all kinds of humor, yet Tony himself can't seem to handle it most of the time, as he is triggered by pretty much anything. How many people are big fans of Kill Tony, but aren't the biggest fans of Tony himself? I love the show, but it seems like Tony's the type of guy that jacks off in the mirror. It seems like he loves having a certain power over people, especially if he makes some of these people famous. He gives off the vibe of being bullied as a kid. Not bullied enough if you ask me. He's a mouthy little queen. And it just goes on and on forever, increasing in number by the day. So it's pretty apparent that what we're looking at here is a ticking time bomb. An audience comprised of a growing number of people barely able to tolerate Tony, with a product that is becoming more watered down and less novel by the day. Making you wonder, how much longer does Tony have until he's in the exact same place as Tom Segura? It's possible that he could avoid this trajectory altogether, but I find his personality makes that incredibly unlikely. Everything has a life cycle. Nothing can be popular forever. And when the interest begins to wane, it's inevitable that the audience will start to turn on Tony en masse. The fans who have invested all of these hours familiarizing themselves with a universe of characters aren't going to just stop watching altogether. They'll start engaging with the content in a purely negative way, following in the same footsteps as many other shows before it.
Tony is out of control. We spoke about Tony's rise to power a few weeks ago after doing the roast there, the Tom Brady roast. We showed you Tony on the Two Bears, One Cave. He's out of control. His ego is out of control. For years, we've been showing you how he disrespects Red Band. But I wanted to show you this. He's got a whole new attitude now on Kill Tony. It's rather loose. I don't know if people have noticed this, but it's almost obnoxiously loose. It's almost high on your own supply.
Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.